Going, everybody? It's time for some karaoke. It's time for some morning karaoke to kick it off your day. I hope you guys had a great night. We had a great afternoon yesterday and had a lot of fun. Last night, cocktails and dinner, and then after party. Thanks again to Linux for taking care of us there at the old brewery. Yes, yeah, that was great. Great way to close out the day. So we've got a lot of great things planned for you today. We have some fantastic activities again, a Brewmaster tour. We've got our historic walking tour of Pinehurst here, and of course the great golf on courses number 2, 4, and 8. And you'll be hearing more about the activities here later from me today. But first of all, we're going to kick off the morning with our breakfast sponsor, Kinetics. We've had Kinetics involved in a few of our shows this year. It's great to have them involved here with us at the Publishing Insider Summit. We have this morning to speak with you briefly, Gil Sommer, VP of Product at Kinetics. He's going to talk to you about going vertical, the impact of video in a mobile world. So here he comes. Give a big round of applause for Gil. Gil.
Guys, thanks for anyone that managed to make it out here this morning. Definitely appreciate it. I wasn't sure that I'm gonna be able to do it, but apparently we are here. So I'm Gil. I'm the VP Product at Kinetics, and we are a next-gen video platform for publishers. And what I want to talk about today is not necessarily a new concept. So, mobile first is something that has been talked about in conferences like this for, the better part of the last 10 years. And vertical is also not necessarily a new concept. But as tech hype cycles go, we're probably in the slope of enlightenment now, which means that there's a lot of opportunity for everyone in this room with vertical. So, Cisco found in a recent study that we're at about 80% of all IP traffic, also known as the internet, to be mobile video. They are predicting that by 2022, that's going to be 82% of all traffic. 57% of that is on mobile. A study in 2017 found that 57% of that is on mobile devices. That number is probably higher today in 2019. And unsurprisingly, 94% of those video views, or any content actually, is being looked at vertically, and should be surprising, when you think of the way that you're using your phones. Now, most of the content that's produced today is horizontal. And there are a few reasons that the content is produced this way, whether it's hardware that is just set up for that way of filming, whether it's the advantages of being able to use the same ratio over multiple formats. But there is one place where video is not necessarily just horizontal, and that's social. And probably have heard, or used this before. It's really exploded in recent years. Everyone's using social. Everyone is doing video on social. And it's been very, very successful and very receptive by the users. And the question is why? Why is vertical such a big success in social? So vertical is a format that allows you to tell stories in a much more personal way, in a much more intimate way. And if we take an example of this viewpoint, right, what do we see here? We see a kid playing soccer, in a square. He's about to kick the ball. You can almost feel the excitement of this kid, right? And this is a vertical, point of view. We take the same picture and we look at it from a horizontal point of view, we get more context, right? So horizontal is much better for context. Over here, we see him playing with other kids. We can figure out that this is somewhere in Italy, Napoli specifically, and we get the context. Vertical a little bit more intimate, a little bit more personal, and it elicits much more emotional reactions from the users. Now, advertisers picked up on this, obviously, and starting to divert money into vertical. And they did that because they see much better results in almost everything that they're looking at, right? So if we're talking about 38% less expensive, and the completion rate, it really comes from the CPCV, from click-through rate, higher effectiveness from recognition, unassisted brand recognition after these campaigns. All of the stats that you can think of are much higher on vertical. However, as you can expect, because most of this inventory is on social, there is that inherent social problem, which is UGC. So user-generated content, is always a problem. And over here, you could have seen a picture of Dan, one of our sales guys, just bought a new home. This is an actual feed, just got a new house, sitting on his couch, drinking a beer with his dog, and we got the Squarespace, ad right after that. Now, it's possible that the CMO of Squarespace wants to be associated with Dan and maybe not, but we can assure you that this is one thing that has kept a lot of advertisers, a lot of marketers up at night. How do I make sure that I am associated with the right piece of content? So it kind of leaves us in this, cycle where there's not enough of safe premium inventory out there, on the one hand. And then on the other hand, because it requires, different types of creative that can't be used in many different scenarios, they're not fully realizing all of the budgets that are available for these type of campaigns. Hence, opportunity, for publishers. But how do you take advantage of these opportunities? So, first and foremost is a mobile-first mindset. And what does mobile-first mindset really mean? Because everybody's mobile-first mindset. So from product guy's perspective, right, it means that the experience, the mobile experience, especially on web that we're providing for our users, needs to be dedicated for mobile, not responsive the way it's been done in the last few years, but dedicated for mobile and takes into account all of the different ways that users use mobile, right? It's not about clicks, it's about gestures, it's about swipes, it's about continuation of consumption of content. The second is alignment on vertical. So as we've seen before, it's not just about the tech, right? Having things vertical is one thing, but it's also about an editorial viewpoint. The content that works better on vertical is more personalized, has a little bit more of a intimate point of view, and the editorial team needs to be on board with that as well. And then lastly, the use of technology to reduce costs. So, if you can think of, okay, we gotta have a mobile-first mindset, and we gotta go vertical, and that's all nice and fine, and that's a one-time expense, right? We do it, site is ready, we release it, almost like CapEx. But then you're talking about continuation of incremental costs because you have to produce content that is vertical, and that's where technology can really help reduce those costs. There are a bunch of companies out there, that have been jumping on this. Wibbits, Widget, Playbuzz, a bunch of others that really jumped on the production of content for vertical and can help in that sense. There's also an opportunity with other types of content, not necessarily just video content, to turn that into financial opportunities. We have seen, in some of the stuff that we're doing, we've seen that when you add interactiveness, that elicits much higher engagement rates, about 20 to 30% engagement rates, and that opens a lot of opportunities, right? So think of a campaign that's going to an advertiser, a campaign that's going to an advertiser where you see, the 6 to 10 second ad, and then a little bit later, there's a poll that helps estimate brand recognition. Lastly, or last, an opportunity to go brand direct. Again, a little bit more of a new format. This allows you as publishers to add some added value for advertisers and brand directly by producing some of the content that's going to go on the site, adding more branded type of content and type of experience, which will lead to better results for the advertisers, higher CPM for you guys, which is kind of a win-win. So that being said, understanding that this is the morning, I'm going to stop at that. I'll open it up to any questions if you guys have. We here, Anthony, Warren, myself, are happy to share some of our experience in vertical throughout this weekend if you want. And yeah.
Gil, thank you. All right. Thanks for kicking us off. Anyone have any questions for Gil? I know you have a team here as well who could field questions throughout the day. Anyone on what we've just seen? Vertical versus horizontal? Hang on one sec. We got one back here. Just let us know who you are and where you're from.
Hi, Gil. I'm Scott Messer from Leaf Group. In one of your slides, you noted that I think it was 39%, vertical video is 39% less expensive than horizontal video.
Yeah.
Why, as a publisher, is that beneficial for me?
Right. Great question. As I was looking at the slides this morning, I was asking myself, is this really a stat that's good for publishers? The answer is it's not less expensive on a nominal basis. It's less expensive on an effective basis, right? So most of, because completion rate are not 100% anywhere, a lot of the advertisers are backing up that number into what is the cost per completed view. The completion rate on vertical is much higher, substantially higher than horizontal. So effectively, it's cheaper. It's not nominally cheaper. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, we got one. Oh, hey, hold on, Jason. You guys are more awake this morning than I thought you were. Hang on. Let us know.
I never was a bet. Jason Tate, Media News Group. I think you had 80% of all
IP traffic, yeah.
Of IP traffic was what?
Video,
video, right.
Yeah.
Do you have that broken down by industry, like by media? Where it comes from?
Right. To some extent, yes. We have it's a Cisco study. To some extent, yes. I think that's a great point. I mean, that includes, any IP traffic. So that would be connected TV. That would be a bunch of other videos. I wouldn't say that necessarily that all that means it's on, your phone.
I just wonder if you take out certain industries, what that number does, right?
Yeah, it's a great point. I can share the. I'll share the study after this talk, but some of it is broken down a little bit more in more detail, and some of it is not.
Yeah, right. Did you want to say that? Probably not.
Probably not.
The interesting content that most.
A little more on the adult side.
A little more on the adult side. Okay, yeah.
He said it. That's a great point. I'm not going to go there this morning. I'm not going to go there this morning, but there is a company that's being founded in these moments about shirts. How are we defining that, guys? The T-shirt company?
Yeah, wrongtowear.com.
Wrongtowear.com.
Don't go there until tomorrow, because I've got to build a website.
Yeah.
Get all the most inappropriate T-shirts that have ever been made.
Yeah. We might want to put some of that stats, some of the IP traffic on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do vertical video.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else for Gil while we have him? All right. Gil, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Big
Thanks,
hand
guys.
for Gil.